What is going on, everybody? This is Mason with the Next Guy Up podcast. I got Tinsley here. I got Zach here. We're ready to
What up?
go. We've had plenty of sports in the past week and weekend, and we're ready to break down. We're not exactly at the halfway point, but we're getting there. So we have some mid-season. Well, I guess for college, we probably are at
College
the
is
halfway
halfway.
point.
Yeah.
So we got some mid-season awards to give out, to hand out here. And then we're also going to break down what we got going on in college football this coming weekend and the NFL as well. So how's it going, everybody? What's going on?
Living the dream.
Great.
I've been on vacation this week. Went to Sam's Club.
Oh, I
Spent
forgot about
$300 something. So
Mm.
it was fun. I smoked a brisket.
There
Ate it
you
for dinner
go.
tonight. Put it on last night at 9 p.m. Got it off at 2 p.m. today. So that was fun.
So and there's no worry of any type of fire with a smoker overnight. Oh, okay. Because I don't have one, so I didn't know if that was like a.
No, there is. There's
Oh.
the worry. I wake up like every 2 hours and just check on it. I don't sleep much anyway. Even when I'm on vacation, I still wake up like I'm supposed to be at preload. Because it's just, I still get the text saying start time is this, and I'm like, well, I'm on vacation, so I don't have to come in, but I'm just wired
it's
that
hard
way.
to train your brain to sleep in at a certain point.
So when did that kind of turn on? Like, because when I was in high school and middle school, you had to get up obviously like 7. Like in Tennessee, schools start at 8. I know some places like 7:30, whatever. So we would get up at like 7 o'clock. But on the weekends, I could still sleep until like noon if I wanted to. But now that I'm an adult and I have to usually get up like at like 6:30, 7 o'clock, whatever it is, like even on the weekends, I do not sleep in past that time usually. So when did that like turn off for you to where it's like now you're automatically there is no sleeping in? Like I feel like my body's just like trained for it to wake up no matter even if it's a Saturday morning.
I'd say like
Mason, you also go to bed at like 8 o'clock on a regular
This is
night,
true.
so
Yeah,
that's
true.
probably why you've already gotten
8:30
hours of sleep. So your body's like, we're good. We're full. We're full.
Everybody loves sleep like I do. No, you're not wrong.
I legitimately wake up like after 4 hours of sleep. My body's like, whoa, hey, this is normally about as much as you get before it's time to get up for preload. And then most times I can go back to sleep. Sometimes I can't. Like last week when I drove, I got to drive all week. And so that was a big adjustment to where like I was still waking up super early in the morning and being like, I have to go back to sleep. I don't have to be back. I don't have to go into work until 8:30 in the morning. So that was weird. Hopefully I can adjust a little better because I'll be driving from now until like middle of February.
When's the last time you've had a full 8 hours of sleep straight?
Probably when we went on the cruise, because then like legitimately there was no reason for me to wake up. My body knew like, hey, no, you can't go in the preload. You're in the middle of the ocean.
Shout out to the body. Very smart.
So real quick, we're gonna get into some deep dive on sports. The guys don't know I'm gonna ask this question. I thought this was very interesting. I was actually asked this during work today by a coworker. I was like, you know what, this is podcast material. I wish I had a mic right now. So the question is for you guys, and I'm gonna answer mine last. Is there a movie that when people around ask you if you've seen this, that are shocked that you've not seen this movie? So is there a movie that you have not seen that people are like gasp? They're like shocked that you've not seen this movie. And if they're thinking this out, should I go ahead? Yeah, I'll go ahead and give mine. I thought of this right off the rip. And it's Godfather. I've never seen it. I've seen the scenes, like famous scenes. I've heard of the scenes, and I feel like anytime someone like they're like, wait a minute, they do like a double take. They're like, you've not seen Godfather. Another one was Shawshank Redemption, which I've heard of the scenes and like, and I've seen like clips of it, but I've never, seen those. So
Sure.
one of the coworkers of mine, he saw some of the Marvel, but never seen Endgame. And if you've listened to this podcast, you know that's a travesty. Like to me, I was like, "How have you not seen Endgame?" So that was like one for me. But there's a couple examples. Did you guys have some now that you've thought of? They're like, no,
Godfather
I'm not.
came to mind for me immediately because I've not seen it either. And then, I just had it and now I've lost it. That's good. Good podcasting here.
Great podcasting.
Dang.
Well, another more recent.
John Wick. I've never
Oh.
seen John Wick.
Wow.
Okay.
Not my
And there's
cup
like
of tea.
four.
Good one.
There's like four of those now. No, not much of a plot. Just like a lot of killing.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And unrealistic. Go ahead, Zach.
There's a couple of older ones that I think are pretty popular. I've not watched, but like there's some comedies like Napoleon Dynamite. I don't know that I've ever watched that. I think there's like a certain threshold where it's like, when am I going to watch that now? Am I going to sit down and turn it on and watch it like intentionally, like just by myself?
It's an accident movie. Like
my wife certainly would not want to watch that. Do you know what I mean?
You left something on the TV and you fell asleep and you woke up and it was already on from the previous movie. It's something you watch on accident. You're
not missing much. Napoleon Dynamite is not all that it's cracked up to be.
It's like I've not seen it either. Consciousness for a while, like it was like the most quoted thing. It was like a thing.
Yes,
you know.
Especially we were in middle school and that was like the thing, like the Liger comment or quote or whatever. Like I know those scenes, but I've never seen it either. Vote for Pedro dance segment or whatever. Yeah,
you've seen the whole movie on TikTok reel or in reels.
True. Basically, sometimes I will tell you, I'll see clips of movies on like the reels or whatever, and I'm like, man, I kind of want to watch a movie now. I rewatched Remember the Titans over the weekend because I was home alone for a little bit and I was kind of quiet and I just wanted something kind of feel good on, so I put it on. I was like, this is still a banger, still good.
I watched that. I always make a point to watch that right before the NFL season starts, and I didn't this year. That might have something to do with what's going on with my life.
It could be. I also watched another sports movie. Have you guys ever watched McFarland USA?
It's about runners, right?
Yeah, it's about cross country.
I've not seen it. Yeah, cross country.
It's good. Okay, Mason, want to play a fun game?
Well, you're going to ask me?
Yeah.
We're going to do the
top 20 movies on IMDb. I'm going to see how many you've watched.
The top 20? Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Number 1, Shawshank Redemption.
Yep. I have not seen it. But yeah, I knew that was number 1.
You said yep.
Sorry. No, I was like, yep. I knew that was number 1.
Number 2, The Godfather.
Have not seen.
Number 3, The Dark Knight.
Seen that.
Number 4, Godfather Part 2.
Nope.
Number 5, 12 Angry Men.
No, I don't know what that is.
Movie, you would hate it so much. It's literally about 12 people like trying to decide a trial like they're jurors. Number 6, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King.
Seen it. Are we counting 7, here?
Schindler's List.
Never seen it.
I've not seen that intentionally. I don't like movies that make you just feel terrible. I'm good on that. It's about the Holocaust for anyone curious. Number 8, Pulp Fiction.
Not seen it.
That's ranked that high up there?
Yeah.
Is that the one with Matt Damon?
That is the one with John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson and Uma Thurman and Bruce Willis.
Close.
Pretty much everyone. It's a Quentin Tarantino movie.
Never seen it.
Okay.
We're doing great.
Fellowship of the King.
Seen it.
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Nope.
The Western. Forrest Gump. Number 12. Number 11, sorry.
So I actually watched this like a month ago, but I didn't finish it. Does that count?
No.
Lord
of the Rings, The Two Towers. All 3 Lord of the Rings in the top 12.
Wow. Seen it. Look at that.
Honestly, this is like a crowdsourced list here. So, Fight Club.
Nope. Never.
Inception.
Seen it. Confusing.
Star Wars Episode 5, Empire Strikes Back.
Seen it.
The Matrix.
Never seen it.
Goodfellas.
Now, Matrix, I feel like would be a gasp one where people would be like, "Oh, you've never seen that one?" Yeah.
Maybe
I'd be shocked. Okay.
1999.
Is that all of them?
Goodfellas.
Nope.
Very good. One
Is
Flew
that a
Over
good
the
one?
Cuckoo's
Goodfellas.
Nest.
Should I see Goodfellas?
Yeah.
But I like Goodfellas.
Yeah, it's
okay.
pretty action
I'll give it a
packed.
shot.
Like about gangsters,
Okay.
like Italian mobsters.
We all know how I am about the fake Italian mobster thing, but Goodfellas is a good movie.
How are you feel about The Departed, Dins? Are you in on it?
I'm out on The Departed
Really?
with all their fake accents.
Have you seen it?
Oh, yeah. That's like Ben Affleck and Matt Damon and all them.
Damon and it's on the list. It's further down though.
They put on that thick Boston accent, and it's unnecessary.
Definitely. Leonardo DiCaprio,
Whose car
Matt
we
Damon,
taking?
Jack Nicholson, Mark Wahlberg. It's a pretty fire cast though.
It's
That
like
is a
when
good
they all
cast.
like kind of popped off together too.
Yeah, I mean that was pretty big. That was
It's
2006.
good. It's good. Let me back up here. It's a good movie. It's not one I rewatch. Like go out of my way to rewatch it.
Fair. Okay, Mason, 3 left. 18. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. You have not watched that.
Never heard that in my life.
Jack Nicholson. Interstellar, 19.
Seen it. Longest movie of my life.
Wow.
Almost fell asleep.
Shorter than Endgame. So.
Well,
Longest movie of my life.
Your
such a
top
long
2
movie.
favorites of all time are like 3 hours plus each. So.
But they're enjoyable, so it doesn't feel like it's that long.
Okay. Last 7. Have you seen it?
No.
The movie ends
But
with a guy's
that's
head
how many
in a
I've
box,
seen.
or a lady's head in a box. Literally.
I saw 7 out of those 20.
Well, 3 of them were Lord of the Rings movies.
That's a travesty.
Do you see the earliest that a Marvel movie shows up?
Where?
37. Spider-Man
Wow.
Across the Spider-Verse. The highest one.
So this list means nothing to me. That's what you're telling me.
Infinity War 63.
That is blasphemy. Also, the most recent movie that I can think of that everybody freaks out that I've not seen, Barbie. Not seen Barbie.
Wow.
That was one I thought of where everybody's like, gasp. Yeah.
No, that checks out to me.
Yeah, I don't think you'd go unless you're. Only way I could see you watching that is if your wife like drug you to it or forced you to watch it.
Last question here, and then we can move on. Is there a movie that you would judge someone hardcore for not seeing? Because mine was Titanic. It was like, what, you live in a cave?
Big Titanic.
I feel like everybody's seen Titanic.
You just called it a heresy that people had Infinity War at 63, and then you picked Titanic.
Well, it's just like, I feel like
people for not
movie
watching Titanic had 2 discs. It was so long.
Romance, 100%.
I know, but everybody's seen Titanic. And so if no,
you are a character.
Those are weird.
That is such a weird take.
Well, is there something that you would be like, I can't believe you've not seen that? Like you're the person judging the person that's not seen the movie.
Not Titanic, I'll tell you
Hunger
that.
Games. I also thought of that.
I don't
one.
care about Hunger Games though.
Yeah.
If there was
The
a movie
original
that was
Jurassic
like,
Park.
if there was a
that I would
Jurassic
judge
Park
someone
is
about,
banger,
because that's
If there
That was also
movie-
not on the list.
not the top 20, but that's just like crowd rankings. It's not a huge deal. If there was a movie that someone was like, I've never seen it, and I would be like, drop everything and go watch it tonight. Like it's worth it. It would be like The Dark Knight, probably. Like, This is a movie where you're almost guaranteed to enjoy it. It's just, it hits everything. Like, it would be hard pressed for someone to be like, yeah, the movie was not really good. I just don't think that an opinion exists about the movie. So everything else, there's varying tastes, and I can appreciate that. There's movies people like, movies people don't like. That's one. I'm just like, no, go watch it.
Go watch it. Another one. This was the first. The Notebook. Like, not judging someone. Like, I feel like
Is
people
Mason
I've never
really-
seen. No, I've never seen The Notebook.
Oh,
Is what
okay.
I'm saying.
Mhm.
The first argument we had. I've never seen them in a Notebook, and I feel like people would be like, "What? You've never seen that?"
I say,
No,
I think
no.
Mason's like a real big romance movie guy.
Like he likes the romance.
No, never seen that one. So there you go. Nice little
There you
shout
go.
out to.
I wrote you every day.
What? Oh, is
Yeah,
that yeah.
it's from the Notebook.
Got him.
Shout out on my Notebook
Mason, I thought
heads.
you loved it.
What was that guy's name? Charles Sparks or something like that? Something like that.
Nicholas Sparks, the
Yeah.
author of the
Yeah.
actual book.
Yep. Okay. Good work, everybody. Some
Great work.
sports now? Sports talk?
I kind of want to talk about the Notebook some more.
I don't want to watch. I feel like at some point it would be really good content for Mason to watch a movie that is universally. Have you seen like Gladiator, Mason?
It's been a really long time.
I
Like
feel
when it
there's a
came
movie
out,
out there.
probably.
Like, you've not seen Shawshank Redemption though?
I've not seen
Oh,
Shawshank Redemption.
See, I think like we should make you sit down and watch it. To force you to,
Mm-hmm.
like, tie you
Make
to a
you
chair,
like, yeah.
take your phone away, and just make you like pry your eyelids open and just say, "Watch this."
And you can have a mic and like
Live
record
commentate it.
a podcast while you're watching it.
Bingo.
How long? So a 3.5 hour podcast about my live
Mason,
thoughts.
not every movie is
Shawshank
3.5 hours
Redemption.
long.
People
That
listen to
one
all kind of
must have been
podcasts. It's people that have to drive across the country every day. They got to listen to something.
That's fact.
I'm looking up
It's
how
true.
long Shawshank Redemption is.
It's good.
It is 2 hours and 22 minutes.
That's not bad.
It's not bad at all.
Not bad.
Some change. It's got Morgan Freeman in it.
It does.
I think Godfather would be a tougher watch for you.
You're probably right about that one.
Okay. Great work, everybody.
Maybe some of the best work ever.
Somebody say.
Good Will Hunting. Never seen that.
Oh, that's very good.
Yeah.
Maybe not for you. It's very good, though. You seen Dead
But I
Poets
feel like
Society?
I do feel like every time I watch a movie, I'm like,
Mason,
I like
Mason
that,
would hate.
but
Mason
there's
would
a
hate this.
Mason tier to is this in the Mason tier or not?
Yeah.
You have like your own category of
We've done it. We've done the category.
I know.
I only watch Mason movies. Like, I've gotten to where if I'm watching a movie on the treadmill, it's always a Mason movie. It has to be 100% action, so I don't get like bored, or else I will get tired. It
Is
has
it
to
pretty
be
good
action, because I have to see if I see people like on the screen running around and like, then it makes me feel motivated to. I need to run faster as well. You know what I mean? It's like listening to music with the right tempo, so you know how fast to run. If you see people sprinting for their lives, it makes you want to run faster. It's science. Look it up.
The math has been done.
I got a business idea, everybody. This was not part of the podcast, but
A lot of this was.
It is now.
This was. We should create a immersive movie experience where you're running on a treadmill, and there's like fake explosions in the background that go along. So you know how people sync up their TVs to do the lights in the background to like Harry Potter, and they have like the clouds up in on their ceiling, and it looks so real, and they have like this immersive like. You could do something like that on a treadmill where it's like these actual lights. You feel like you're actually getting shot at.
I think they have that.
Or big explosions. There's like heat that comes off the walls. Like there's the places on fire. And you get the best running workout experience of your life. There you go.
I think virtual reality can do that. They've got the 360 treadmills.
Yeah.
I think.
That'd be pretty cool.
But there might be something there.
All right.
Write that down.
If anybody's interested in giving us a $100 million loan, just reach out at nextguyuppodcast.com.
How much money do you think it costs? What if it was a Next Guy Up immersive experience and it was just us like podding and they were like just running around? That's a screen with us podding around them.
So they can just come hang out with us on a college football Saturday.
I think Zach's cooking. Let him cook.
Maybe we should launch that. Okay.
We got back to our messing around roots a little bit.
$7.99 to come hang out with us.
Oh yeah, for free.
Like
maybe.
$7.99.
Yeah, all
Bring some,
immersive experience to hang out with their favorite podcast.
I'll let you in the house.
Pretty good, actually. That's a steal.
That is a steal. Okay. Do you have some? We want to get into the football team.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
little mid-season
I just felt like we were about halfway through the season.
awards.
We had some stuff cooking. We had some. We've seen some football now. Here's where I'm at. I think I'm approaching a point in the football season where it's like, I've seen some stuff. I've gathered some evidence.
I think I
We're
know some stuff.
We're no longer clueless about some of these teams. Sometimes going into the season, especially in college, it's like, what is this team going to look like? You see some teams that end up overperforming, some underperform. Some games that you would never expected to be really good are really good. Some games that you hoped would be good are blowouts. So I just thought it'd be a fun time to look back at the season so far, NFL and college, see what have we picked up, what are takeaways so far before heading into a big weekend of football coming up. So let's just start here, because this may be an easy question for all of us. I think we can all just give our answers, even if they're similar. What about game of the year so far? There's lots of games left. Game of the year so far.
Left. A lot of game left on the board.
I have one huge matchups.
Yeah, I have one I have one that's a little obscure for both NFL and college.
I'm ready for it.
All right, so as far as my NFL one, we're going to go back a couple weeks. We're going to go Vikings versus Texans. When the Vikings absolutely boat raced the Houston Texans, picked off C.J. Stroud multiple times. Sam Darnold diced up that allegedly really good Texans defense, and kind of got the MVP talk starting for old Sam Darnold, and when he brought his team to 4-0. So that was my favorite game so far of the NFL season. For no reason.
Love it.
Love that.
For one reason.
No, I said for no reason. It was just
There's no agendas at play here, Mason.
Never once.
Well, since we're talking about NFL, can I go ahead and do mine?
Do it.
Yes.
Okay, because mine's NFL, obviously. So I'm gonna go with this was also a couple weeks ago, overtime Thursday night thriller in Week 5, Buccaneers at the Falcons. He's talking about dicing up.
You like that?
Kirk Cousins thrown over 500 yards with the touchdown throw to win the game. It was a very back and forth game, a very fun game, and for him to on Matt Ryan night to actually break his record was just fun. And I feel like a lot of people can agree that Kirk Cousins is just like a likable guy. Yep. And so it was a fun game. It was very fun, especially this was like a standalone. So that was like what we were forced to watch. I feel like a lot of games get overlooked because there's probably some really good ones, but it's like hard to like.
NFL's tough.
You're watching Titans, like us poor Tennessee fans are watching Titans, and we're not getting to see another 12 o'clock game from start to finish unless you got like the 8 screens in a row type of setup. But that was like a primetime game. That was a fun one. Went to overtime, so that was my game of the year so far, NFL wise.
I love this take that Mason has about Kirk Cousins. I think Mason brings up every time he brings up Kirk Cousins, he brings up the fact that he's a likable guy. He's a quarterback everyone likes.
It's because he makes me
feel like I could play in the NFL.
He's just this regular.
He's really nice, regular guy.
These are Mason's
sweaters. He's a dad, huh?
I bet he's not watched Shawshank Redemption either.
Kirk Cousins probably not. Let's get him on the pod and ask him.
He's probably a really big Marvel guy too.
Yeah, I bet his movie tastes are similar to yours.
It's because when I watched The Quarterback, I was like, I feel like he would just be part of the guys, you know? Like Mahomes, he would not fit in with our squad. He would not fit in with the group. He wouldn't fit in. But Kirk Cousins, you know, he'd just be sitting there chill, hanging out, being like one of the guys, you know?
Have you guys watched any of the Starting 5 show on Netflix?
Just started it.
I also started it today. Kind of wild. Malcolm Butler, weirdo.
NBA guys are...
LeBron James, kind of weird as well. He's like so rich they can get away with just listening to rap music and just rapping as loud as he can, just without music playing. Which I think that's a level of success that not many people get to. Like people just LeBron can kind of you just like being pretty obnoxious all the time.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
LeBron.
who else could just be listening to music in their ear pods and just like rapping really loudly all the words without people being like, "Oh, this guy."
I don't know. I had some guys that worked for me at Cookout that did that all the time while in the kitchen. I'm like, hey man, we're trying to tell orders right now, get some food out the door. You're over there mumble rapping Tanashi 6ix9ine. Like, can we get with it?
Oh, it's funny. Yeah, it's a pretty entertaining show. I've heard Anthony Edwards is portrayed as a
I can't wait to get to his episodes.
kind of like obviously he's like a young superstar. I mean, I think everyone knows at this point that he's pretty arrogant and cocky. Like that's part of his whole thing, which you have to have a certain piece of that if you're going to be a superstar. But yeah, I don't think he's portrayed in a super positive light always. It's pretty fun. I don't know. Okay, this is not an NBA podcast, and I'm definitely not an NBA expert here. My game of the year so far, I think there's really two that are up for debate. I'm not gonna go for some deep takes here. I'm just gonna pick. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna pick Alabama, Georgia, and just be pretty unoriginal with it because of its implications further down the line in the SEC.
Yeah.
We saw two teams. We saw an Alabama team that looked honestly really scary in the first half. It was like, oh, this is for real. Then looked very beatable. And since looked even more like they had 2 quarters of like invincibility, and then there's been 10 quarters after of like, oh, this team maybe is pretty bad.
Yeah.
We had a Georgia team that looked very beatable early, and then they fought back and have been pretty good since then as well. Well, maybe. I don't know. This is a weird SEC, but I think that was a fun game. Honorable mention, Oregon, Ohio State obviously was pretty huge as well. Very entertaining. Shout out to the NCAA for their swift action. Okay, let me say I have a take on this. We have been dealing with these stupid fake injuries for 3 years.
Yes.
And there's like nothing we can do about it. Sorry. Dane Lanning pulls the stunt one time and there's a rule change like 4 days later. What a joke.
NCAA is out to get my guy Dan.
I don't understand how we can't figure out the fake injury thing. Whatever. That's big Ohio State getting in the way. That's what you see there. If teams were playing Ohio State and we're doing the fake injury, they'd have been gone long ago.
Then we need an Ole Miss. We need Ole Miss Ohio State to happen soon because Ole Miss is the kings of guys getting injured and then being back the next play.
They will never stop until they make them stop. Until they put a rule in place.
Yeah, the rule in place has to be that guy's out for the rest of the series.
Yeah, I think they trot in like garbage time third stringers just to play one play and then go down.
Yeah, it's true. That's how they would get away with it. Something has to
just cycle in.
They have
players to do that.
They have an NCAA trainer for every single game. It's not the team's trainer that has to go out there when a player gets hurt. It's the athletic trainers that go out there and they have to determine whether or not it was a legitimate injury.
It's like a school nurse. Like, are you actually sick or are you just fake to get out of class?
It's just they'll stop it for cramps because they can't physically walk on their leg because their calf is cramping. So it's a very sensitive subject. It gets me very angry.
Yeah.
It ruins the flow of games. Like, not even just because it happens to UT a lot, but legitimately, like, I'm watching a game.
It's not just UT anymore. There's a lot of teams who are suffering.
Offenses get rolling, and then all of a sudden, the guy looks at the sideline and he's like, "Oh, I have a cramp."
Now, if it's that video, and that's like a blatant fine.
It is pretty often. It's that
where it's not, where it looks so obvious that they had to fake it. That's where it's like, all right, this player gets suspended, or the team gets fined, or coach gets fined. Something has to happen. I'm not expert, but
something has to happen. Everybody.
There you go.
Okay,
something has to be done about this.
What about your surprise of the year? Which team surprised you the most? Oh, Tens, do you have another game? Sorry.
No, you're good. It was just going to be the Michigan USC game. Just the way how Michigan, I've never seen a team execute a two-minute drill where they just ran the ball over and over again to win the game. Like that was just like I've seen the crazy comebacks through the air, and that's, kind of used to that. But seeing a team just go, you know what, we're just gonna run it, and if you can stop us, good for you, because we physically can't throw this football because we have no quarterback. So that was just a wild way
True.
that game ended. Like I was just kept saying to myself, I was like, there's no way USC like doesn't just stop the run right here. Like run goal line defense the whole time, do something,
Make them
do
back.
anything,
Yeah.
make them throw the ball, but they didn't, and it worked. Kudos to Michigan.
Shout out to those guys.
That was just a wild game.
Huh. That's pretty wild. Okay. Surprise of the year? Surprise of it can be either way really, but what team player situation has surprised you the most?
There's a lot. There's a lot here. I think I've got one for both. I think NFL, and we've talked about it a bunch, but how the Vikings have looked, how they
Heck yeah.
legitimately do look like they are a real contender, not even just in the NFC, but just as far as like as a Super Bowl team in general. What Brian Flores has done with that defense is amazing. If you consider all the pieces they lost in the offseason due to injury, and then losing your assumed starting quarterback in J.J. McCarthy, and Sam Darnold coming in and looking like the quarterback he was hyped up to be, when he got drafted, and like I think he was like the 17 or 18. So he's been around for a long time, kind of seen as like a career backup type, and he's revived his career. This Vikings team is crazy. Like this is not what I expected. I expected them to honestly end up last in their division, playing a very tough division with the Lions, the Packers, and the Bears. And so going into the year with everything that happened this offseason, it was pretty easy to kind of pencil them in as like, okay, they're going to finish fourth. It sucks to suck. But no, they're one of two undefeated teams left in the NFL, and they look every bit the part. That's like, it's not fluky.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought I froze, or you froze.
You did freeze for a second, but we're back.
All right, we're back.
Okay. My surprise of the year is the one and the only Vanderbilt football program.
Mm-hmm.
Not so. I think it would be something if they were kind of a flash in the pan. But to lose, I don't know that there has ever been a bigger turnaround by a team ever. To lose to Georgia State and to go beat a top two team in like a couple weeks apart.
Yeah.
Just truly one of the most insane scenarios I've ever seen. Shout out. And I don't think it was a fluke. The more you look at this team, the more they have some pieces that are pretty fun. I mean, I think we're going to see some of the highest viewership for Vanderbilt games we've seen maybe ever the end of this season. They have been competitive. They beat Kentucky, which is not a pretty good Kentucky team, really. They're defensively, they're very good. They took Ole Miss to the kind of the end of the game. A pretty fun Vanderbilt team, which has never been uttered ever, pretty much. So I think they were definitely my surprise of the year. There's some other ones, but I think they're the biggest.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, they're just a team normally in the SEC that you kind of just chalk up to being very bad, and not doing anything. And they
over under 2.5 win total.
Yeah, exactly.
To already be at 4-2 is pretty incredible. I mean,
that's two SEC wins that no one saw coming. No one can tell you with a straight face that they thought they were going to beat Bama and then go on the road and beat Kentucky.
True. I have another surprise, but I'm going to say it for fraud of the year, I think.
Okay. All right. Mine in college is I'm going to go with Penn State. I'm surprised, and here's why. This Penn State team every year gets to where they are now, or around this time when they're ranked this high, they'll have a letdown game. I kind of thought I called it last week with USC, but there's just always something about Penn State that the trap door is always under them, and it always drops at the most inconvenient time.
Yeah.
And they have fought through that. They've got some good quality wins. I mean, they beat Illinois 21-7. They handled a UCLA team that's kind of frisky. They've had a good battle with USC this last week. And I really think it might be a little bit different with Penn State with this new offensive coordinator that they got from Kansas. They're running more of like a college-style offense instead of this weird broken NFL from the 2004 season that they've ran in years past. And Drew Aller is looked good. So
Yeah.
I think Penn State to me is a surprise because normally by now they would have lost a game that they had no business losing. And so that makes things interesting. It really does now. Now you do have to think Big Ten, 3 teams in if Penn State can keep doing what they're doing.
Tins, I've got a fun stat for you.
All right.
Stat of the year.
Ooh.
That would be fun. This is just a fun stat I listened to. I heard West Virginia. This links back to Penn State. West Virginia is 3-3 on the season so far.
I think I know this stat.
They're 3. I might have sent it to you in a group text already.
I think so.
They're 3-3 on the year so far. Their 3 teams they lost to have a combined record of 18-0.
Yeah.
What a wild stat. There are not very many 18-0 teams in the country. Or 6-0 teams in the country at this point. That'd be Penn State, Pittsburgh, and Iowa State.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have been so hard on West Virginia.
That's what I mean. West Virginia, now they have to play Kansas State this week. They have a very tough schedule.
Yeah, they do.
That's pretty wild. That's crazy. Okay.
I apologize, West Virginia, for all the mean things I said. I didn't realize your schedule was going to be this hard. You guys are still good.
Maybe.
You guys are still adequate.
They're decent. Yeah. Bowl team. Okay, Mason.
Bowl game.
Hopefully. Mason.
Yes.
Surprise of the year.
I'm going to go with one of the 2 undefeated teams so far, the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh.
What's the face for?
That was the surprise of the year.
I sniped you.
Yeah. Dang.
That's okay. Just go with the other undefeated team.
No.
Not a surprise, though. That's okay. You can talk about them. Talk about the Minnesota Vikings, Mason.
Yeah. Talk about them Vikings.
Mason had to walk away for a few seconds.
Yeah, sorry, everybody.
An emergency.
I had emergency.
Captain America was knocking on his door.
That's right. No, because I don't want to repeat what Tim said, and I didn't get to hear what he said. But basically, it's all been a shock. Especially, I do want to say that preseason, I said I was hating on this team because they lost JJ McCarthy, and they had Addison was out. They had a lot of injuries. Couldn't figure out there was also defensive players that they lost over the offseason. So it was like one of those things I was not high on them, and they have proven me wrong, obviously. So
okay, let's play a fun game, everyone. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
What would Minnesota Vikings record be if JJ McCarthy was the starting quarterback?
Ooh, that's a good question. Dang.
I'm looking at their record right now, or I'm looking at their schedule.
They've played 6 games, right?
They're 5-0 right now.
Okay, yeah, they've had their bye week. 2-3.
Wow.
So the teams that they beat that are tough, they won against the Giants. I think they would still won that. They won against the 49ers. I think they would have lost that. Texans, that was the game of the year Tinsley was talking about. I think they would have lost that. Packers, I think they would have lost. And Jets, I think they would have won.
I think they would have beat the Texans no matter what.
Wow.
Ooh.
Is that not a hot take? You were a hater of JJ McCarthy. You were a hater of let's run back the tape on how much you hated JJ. Now you're just going to say they beat the Texans?
He just
said horrible things about
JJ McCarthy. What are we?
Brian Flores had CJ Stroud in a headlock. He had him in the walls of Jericho tapping for his life, saying, please, I've never seen a defense like this. Help me. Somebody help me.
So I'm going to say they won against the Giants and the Jets, the 2 New York teams. So 2-3 right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. What about this is off. This is way off track again. But what about
Here
the
for it.
situation with the Colts? Let's put it in the same lens. Because the Colts seemingly look better with Joe Flacco at quarterback, and it's talking like
Someone
Anthony
who can
Richardson will
throw?
be starting back. What do you guys think about the rookie quarterback or the young quarterback being forced into starting roles, even if the team is worse because of it? Potentially.
I think with him, it's a situation where you have to let him start because you got to figure out: are we doing this long term, like, or we're gonna look to get out? And he's only started like 7 or 8 games because he keeps getting hurt. So yeah, I don't know. He's a weird situation, tough situation. He doesn't fit with what Shane Steichen likes to do, which is tough when you draft a quarterback and you kind of try to force them to gel together because Shane Steichen is more of a West Coast quick pass game and then run the ball, and Anthony Richardson is more of an RPO throw the ball deep kind of quarterback. So they're trying to gel that together, and it's just I don't know that it's going to work.
Interesting. Okay, I have one last hypothetical for the NFL experts.
Ooh,
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just curious about what your answer would be to this. If the Next Guy Up podcast bought their own NFL franchise, and there was a new rule where part of our contract was that we got to handpick one quarterback that's already in the league to be the quarterback of our team for now and the future. Which quarterback are you building your team around? Like right now, today? Age is a factor. We're not talking about prime
Yes, it
someone.
really
We're
is.
talking about starting right now.
This could really bite me in the butt, but I would try to convince you all to get Jaden Daniels. Young, proven so far in a small amount of games that we've seen. I don't know what, like, if we're looking at the young quarterbacks right now, you got Anthony Richardson. I know Tinsley was not a CJ Stroud. I don't know if he just hates the Texans or if he doesn't like CJ Stroud. But regardless,
some combination.
I think I would probably go with, because like Josh, I feel like that's already, I would rather have age on my side than like Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen. They're already about to reach 30, right?
That's what all of the
Yeah.
NFL owners do. That's what they all do. They prioritize age over anything else.
I know, and I'd still do that.
Maybe because Aaron Rodgers' experiment is not going particularly well in New York.
Nope. I'm locking in at Jaden Daniels.
I'd go Herbert. I'd obviously go Trevor. You guys are never going to let that one happen. This isn't a Trevor Lawrence podcast, so I'm not doing that today. So I'd go Herbert. He's young. He has all the tools. So yeah, I'd go. If I couldn't go Trevor, I'd go Herbert.
I feel like in a year, if Lamar actually got him to the Super Bowl or could prove something, I would try to make a case for Lamar, but I knew Tinsley wouldn't want Lamar Jackson. Go ahead, Zach. What would you vote?
I don't know. I was asking you guys who the NFL experts. I just thought of the question. Okay. Interesting
Good work,
stuff.
everybody.
All right. Next. I think we should skip this point. Let's just do this one. Fraud of the year so far. Fraud of the year.
I have 2.
Maybe this is our... Well, we'll have one more. Fraud of the year. My pick is going to be... Boy, there's a lot of options. My pick is going to be the one and only. This is the only real answer. Florida State.
Yeah.
Top 10 preseason. 1-5.
Yeah, I think so.
They've not been 1-5 since like 1976 or something like that. And they were preseason top 10 ranked. I saw a stat that Norvell is like the 5th highest paid coach in the nation. Norvell's getting paid $10 million to coach a 1-5 football team. I'm like 90% convinced if you gave me that roster and just said, let's get them ready to play some football, I could get one win out of that roster in a season.
Yeah.
I'll just be literally like, just line up and we'll like set up 3 or 4 plays and we'll just mess around and we'll beat our FCS team that we have on the schedule or whatever. And just like, I think I could get one win out of that team. That's
Probably.
crazy.
Yeah, that's just that they are the biggest frauds that I can think of in many, many years.
Yeah, they took advantage of a pretty down Clemson last year and a couple of other. I feel like they just kind of coasted their way through the ACC. And whenever they saw, I mean, I hate that their quarterback went down like he did, but it's just like they would not have had a chance in the playoffs in either way, I don't think.
And then the way they were talked about going into this year, I mean, there were people that were saying they had the best defensive line in the country. And then Georgia Tech came out and pushed them around like they were playing Miami of Ohio. Like, I don't know. It's just that whole team fraud. I knew as soon as I saw DJ Ungalunga was going to be their starting quarterback, I knew what to do.
I think Florida and Florida State have kind of flipped in my brain where for a lot of people are expecting now Florida's just getting into the tough part of their schedule. Right. Florida could still be a 3-win team, to be 100% with you, but nobody expected, but Florida State's giving up in the same way that we kind of anticipated Florida giving up at some point. We're 1-5 and your roster is just like, why are we still doing? Like, what are we doing? No one wants to see us play as a 1-5 team. It's just pretty hard to stay motivated whenever your season's over. I mean, what are you playing for? To beat Florida at the end of the season?
That's really like all they have
is that
left.
It? That's their bowl, and that's just going to be done? Probably for Florida as well. Fun one. That's a fun one. Okay, that's my fraud of the year.
All right, my fraud of the year is the Dallas Cowboys. This team does nothing but talk all the time about how elite they are and how they're one of the NFL's best, and they don't ever do anything. And then you got an owner who's also your GM, and guess what? He sucks at both. Talking about how they're all in. They're going to be all in going to this year. And what did that actually mean? Well, you didn't have enough money to sign a free agent like Derrick Henry, who wanted to come play there because you were doing a holdout with CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott and waited to the last minute to sign both of them and then let the whole market reset. So then you had to pay the top dollar for both of those guys when you could have gotten their contracts done before everyone else and went and got a guy like Derrick Henry and signed a couple other complementary pieces. But instead, now here you are, you're third in your division, going to be fighting for a wild card spot at like best. This was supposed to be all in. Like this, they are such frauds. They always will be as long as Jerry Jones is still running the team.
It's crazy how much hype was still around them and playoff. Everybody was like thinking that they were going to still be a playoff or even a Super Bowl team. And they did not improve over the offseason. Like it was so obvious that they got worse. And people were still, because Dak got his money and CD Lamb got paid. And it's like, oh, they kept around
Zeke back.
They kept around the players that are their star players, but they're so top heavy that they don't have a base at all. They're a pyramid without like the bottom part. They literally have like the star players on top and then nothing. So it's like it's just that's why they're getting like boat raced and blown out. And I feel like I could be confident and still saying, and it's probably not a hot take. Everybody's like, well, yeah, obviously now, but it's like I do not see them getting into the playoffs. So very disappointing. Frauds, whatever you want to call it, but yeah. Mine is going to be players. They're two are actually on the same team, and I'm going to go with Deshaun Watson and Jerry Jeudy. Deshaun Watson would not have a starting position right now if the owners or GMs or whoever wasn't making Kevin Stefanski start. Like it's so obvious. Like if anybody else struggled this bad and had another option that wasn't like, and I get it, Tinsley's not a Jameis Winston. I honestly still think that he's a better option than Deshaun Watson right now. And I really do think that the only reason is because he's getting the most guaranteed. We talk about ripoff artists. This guy was a full-on. Might be the biggest ripoff like that anybody's ever pulled on an NFL team that we will ever see, that we've ever seen in the past and we've ever seen in the future, because no owner is going to give this. When all the quarterbacks are like, all right, Deshaun Watson got paid, give me my money. And all the owners together all got together except for the Browns owner. And they all made a agreement. No, we're not going to budge on this. That owner was out of his mind for doing that. And we're not going to do we're not going to make the mistake that he made. And so they're literally throwing him out there because they're like, we can't have the most paid guaranteed player be sitting on the bench. So that's my fraud number one. And then Jerry Jeudy, I have him on my fantasy team. And that's probably why I'm bitter about this. But I think hopefully he'll play better if they get another quarterback in there. Or now that Amari Cooper, which was like, I got to get out of Dodge, just like Devontae Adams was. Maybe he'll step in and be more of a wide receiver one. But so far, that has been my frauds of this season.
Love it.
We in agreement? Okay.
Yeah.
Mark Andrews
laughed because he's on
not so much about Jerry Jeudy. I don't calling Jerry Jeudy a fraud. He is he's a former first round pick who got traded this year for a 5th rounder. Like I think you're just mad because he's on your fantasy team.
You're probably right about that, but
he's guilty a wide receiver 3 on the team. I think he's doing the best he can.
He's doing the best he can. Meanwhile, Tim's is like ripping Jaguars receivers up and down every day, every Sunday.
Yeah,
they're just doing the best
doing
that.
Yeah.
No, they're not. They're not. 4 drop touchdown passes is not good.
I think it's because I had. Well, go ahead.
Can get off my team. I don't care that we just signed him. Trade him to the Browns for nothing.
I'll take Jerry Jeudy. Remember that time last year when you said something similar about Tank Bigsby?
Mm-hmm. I hope Gabe Davis hears all this and has a great bounce back season next year with Ben Johnson as our head coach.
You're throwing the season away?
Oh, this season.
Yes, he is. 100%
bounce back season next year, as if there's not many games left.
No, I don't want to win this. I don't want this season to go well because then we'll keep stupid Doug Peterson around and Trent Baalke the snake around.
The snake.
Trent Baalke is a snake. And I want him off my team.
Get him out. Fraud of the year.
Trent Baalke.
All of them.
And Doug Peterson is stupid visor.
Let's do this rapid fire, and then we're gonna just quickly hit some games for college and NFL coming up. Let's do MVP / Heisman. If it were today, who's winning it?
Gosh.
College is interesting. Obviously, there's some big games left. If there was any justice in the world, it would probably. I mean, I don't know. It's tricky because both of the top ranked Heisman candidates at this point, neither are traditional Heisman candidates, which would be Genty and Travis Hunter. I would kind of like to see Boise State Genty win it. I think that'd be fun. He probably deserves it at this point.
Yeah.
Willie,
do we know what his stats are? I just pulled up a list of non-quarterbacks to win Heisman. I forgot Devonta Smith, 2020. He had 1,500 receiving yards, 98 receptions, 17 touchdowns. Genty's a running back, right? I'm trying to look for the last running back.
Derrick Henry, I think.
Yeah, probably
Derrick Henry, 2015. Mark Ingram, Reggie Bush, Tim Brown.
Reggie Bush taken away, give him back. Snip, snap.
That's right.
Snip, snap.
Snip, snap.
See, my whole thing, and you guys are going to hate this pick. If Texas beats Georgia this weekend, yours is going to jump just like what we saw. I know, they're making faces, everybody, for everybody that can't see. But what did we see? Milroe, you want to get the value when it's good. And I know Melrose also jumped back down. But when we're talking about like Alabama, Georgia when someone like cooks in a big primetime game, but he's at 2,200 right now. And I kind of like that value. Like it's gonna shoot up if he ends up dicing up Georgia.
But he didn't even play like super great against
And he was
Oklahoma
hurt.
to start.
He didn't even
And then,
play a couple games, which for a lot
Yeah.
of
No, but still.
I mean, that's what happened to Hendon Hooker a couple years ago. He got injured, and then he missed the last game, and all of a sudden he was disqualified, basically, for the Heisman. Sorry.
You feel better about Dylan Gabriel plus 320. I don't know. I think a quarterback
long term,
Still-
yeah. If I had to make a
Well, this
bet
is
right
today.
now,
This is Heisman today.
but if
Heisman.
it's who's won it today, I'm
It's
going with Travis Hunter.
or Genty.
Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter is playing every snap of the game at a high level. He is an elite wide receiver. He's a more elite cornerback, and he's gonna be a top 5 pick.
There you go.
I think the dig on Genty is that
Teal.
the competition.
Who's Boise State even
competition.
played?
Yeah,
They play Oregon.
they played Oregon. He
Very
did go
close
off against them.
In fact,
But
which
if you look at his
honestly,
stats, it's like 95 carries. He's at 95 carries for 1,000 yards. Like
10 yards.
that's
carry
huge.
over. Yeah.
Right. That's insane. But that tells you all you need to know, that he is literally doing this like in a half, because these guys are not. He's playing against very low quality teams
Definitely.
to an extent. Like
Portland State.
There have been
Utah
very
State,
few Heisman
Washington
from small
State.
schools, like not the big power type schools, who are. But
Yeah.
this year's different because a team like Boise State could be potentially in the playoffs fighting for a championship, which has
Right.
never been the case before. So
it makes
Bingo.
it's interesting.
It's very interesting. It makes it very. It's going to be a fun year to try and track the Heisman. One of them's going to have to kind of separate, and I don't know who it's going to be.
I mean, I agree. If Texas keeps winning, I think you are just going to go to the top of the list, whether he deserves it or not. Because that's always what happens. Quarterback of the best
I
team
know,
will always be there.
Yeah, but the injury thing, like that's real.
It was against garbage teams, though. It was against they could have played their third string quarterback and they would have won those games comfortably.
Yeah, if Miami keeps doing what they're doing,
Cam
Cam
Ward,
Ward will be there too.
he's looked pretty bad. I mean, the team has looked pretty bad, especially. Okay. Do you have any MVP NFL stuff? Is it too early? Maybe it's too early.
Too early.
Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold.
Yes, Sam Darnold.
You could argue he's the most valuable player to his team.
Sure.
I'd love to see Derrick Henry win MVP. That'd be awesome.
He is he's up there right now.
Sounds like someone was hating
Mahomes.
on Derrick Henry in the offseason, or my take. I drafted him in fantasy. I was going on about him, and someone said something about his age, and
we're week 6. We're in week 6. We'll see how he's doing in 11 more weeks.
That's true. Long season.
Tinsley, I literally was like just sitting here quietly as we did our draft, and Tinsley was like, Derrick Henry and Joe Mixon. That would have been a great combo like 3 or 4 years ago. That would have been a stacked run, which he didn't say that they weren't, but he was kind of like making it sound like.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
I was making fun of the almost 30-year-old running backs when running backs fall off a cliff in the NFL traditionally.
What's your fantasy football record?
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. My whole team got injured. I'm sorry that Isaiah Pacheco and Cooper Kupp have been on IR since week 2.
Can I say something? I don't know if we even talked about disappointment of mine is a Rams based on mostly injuries. Like I was excited about this team, and they're already like only won one game. Well, they're like 1-5, season's over. Like they're cooked. Sean McVay. That's all I gotta say.
I now wish injury upon your team, Mason.
Oh no! What did I do?
Wow, he just did that.
What's your record in fantasy football?
I was just asking.
Mason,
I forgot what it was.
Your team is cooked.
It's an injury bug. Have fun navigating it.
Mason, look what you did.
Look what I did.
You can take some of me and Zach's injuries.
Yeah, you can have them. All of them. We're gonna be
Tough
back.
break.
We're fine. Okay,
We're fine.
We're gonna wrap up just doing a quick preview of some college games. This is a big weekend in college football, folks. We got a couple of big time matchups. One we've talked about here already. Some people are circling it as game of the year. We've already had like 3 game of the year, so I don't know how that works. But Texas hosting Georgia, huge regular season matchup. A Texas team that basically blew out an Oklahoma team who, at this point, we understand they're very limited in what they can do, especially offensively. But they destroyed them in a game that typically is pretty close, the Red River Shootout. Georgia, a team who looked pretty vulnerable against Alabama. And then last week, no one was watching this game, I don't think, but Mississippi State kind of mounted a pretty crazy comeback at the end of the game. It was never close, but Georgia allowed Mississippi State to score 31 points. This Mississippi State team that is very bad. I think Georgia has some pretty serious concerns. I think Texas has not necessarily played a team that is going to expose their weaknesses yet. Do they have them? I don't know. They could just be an elite team. They have not struggled with any team yet. But I think they're the last team that hasn't really played a competitor that matched them at all. We saw Oregon, Ohio State finally match up. We saw Alabama, Georgia match up. And so this is kind of the last piece to see where everyone lands. Tens, do you have any thoughts on that one, Texas, Georgia?
Yeah, I do. And I'm going back to what I said in the preseason when we were looking at these teams. And I said that I thought Quentin Ewers would struggle to this point in the season and that Georgia would come in and beat them bad. And then finally Texas would switch to Arch Manning because the rest of their season goes like Vandy, which at the time when I said this was not, out here beating top 5 teams in the country. But Kentucky, and it got weak after that. And I'm going to stand on that. Quentin Ewers, he looked rough last week against Oklahoma. Finished 20 of 29 for 199 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. This Texas team is good. They are not I've said it before. I think this is a weird season where there's not one of those elite teams, and Texas has gotten lucky to this point to just be they're a very good team, but they're being looked at like they're one of those elite Bama or Georgia or LSU teams that are like unbeatable, and they're not that. And I've never bought into Quentin Ewers. Even going into last season, I was like, I don't think this guy's it. So I'm going to take Georgia. I think Georgia, the way they fought back against Alabama showed me that like they still have that team inside. Like Kirby Smart's going to get the best out of that team. He's going to give them their best punch, and Texas hasn't been punched yet. And I don't know if they're going to respond very well to it. So give me Georgia.
I think this Texas team they're very talented, and I really think these are 2 very good teams on both sides of the ball. I mean, I think Georgia's got some problems defensively. I think Carson Beck, since that first half against Alabama, has looked much, much better since then. I really think that this could be a situation where obviously it's in Texas, which makes a difference. Man, I think this game is going to be really close. It's a pick 'em in my mind. I think Georgia wins. I think I agree with Tens. Georgia wins, everyone. Look out. And the SEC gets crazy because there are a slew of 1-loss teams at that point. The winner of Tennessee, Alabama will be a 1-loss team. Texas and Georgia will both be 1-loss teams. Ole Miss is a 1-loss team. All of a sudden, you've got a Texas A&M will potentially still be a 1-loss team. It's going to start getting crazy out there in SEC if Texas drops this game. So I'm kind of hoping for chaos just personally, but I also think Georgia will give them their best punch here. I think they're not going to come out as slow as they did against Alabama. I think Georgia can take it. It's going to be a fun one.
Georgia it's +5, +164. If you're in the Discord, you're going to see them. Yeah, you're going to see it on the card.
Yeah, it was like plus. I feel like that's gone up some.
Yeah.
That's a lot of points. Okay. The second biggest billing of the weekend is Tennessee. Alabama coming back to Neyland Stadium. This is a game that has been looked ahead to since 2 years ago, whenever Tennessee obviously beat Bama in the huge game at Neyland Stadium. Alabama, this is kind of a tale of two teams that have underperformed this year so far for preseason expectations. Alabama has not looked bad, except for they looked really. Actually, the last 2 weeks they've looked very bad. They played Vanderbilt and lost. They played South Carolina and really should have lost, if not for a couple of pretty egregious errors by Lenore Sellers. Tennessee lost to an Arkansas team on the road, a decent Arkansas team, and then played what we know to be a pretty flawed Florida team to overtime. And so these are both teams that have not showed their full potential, I think, on the football field. Maybe Alabama did in the first half against Georgia. Maybe that was their potential. Mm-hmm. They have some big plays. I think both teams are still trying to figure out what they look like offensively. Both teams have some flaws. Tennessee's leading tackler, Keenan Peely, out for the season. That linebacker, that is a huge, huge loss for that defense. That has been playing very well to this point. Has not allowed more than 20 points in all 6 games this season, which is the first time that's happened in a very long time for Tennessee. And so it is going to be a very, very interesting matchup. This game also, I think both of these big games, honestly, in my mind, are kind of coin flips where I think they could very easily go either way. I mean, I know that the line is, I think, 3 points to Bama.
3. Yeah.
Which maybe is fair with how Tennessee's offense has looked. I think that's probably not, seeing that we took Florida to overtime a week ago. I think there's a potential for a spark for the Tennessee offense, though. I think that they are better than what they've been playing at so far. Given if the offensive line can improve just like 10%, and I think if Nico can improve 10%, I think our offense improves 100%.
Yeah,
which the math is not math in 100% there, but I think that's that's how close they are, though. It's like they're just a little bit off in a couple of areas. So,
yeah.
10, how do you feel about this game?
I agree. I think it's a coin flip game. I think you see both teams kind of get back on track. I think you're going to see Milroe and Williams kind of get going. Unfortunately, I do think they're going to put up numbers. But I do expect Nico to bounce back at home. Big environment, big test for him, and kind of cementing himself as like our guy, because he's been a little shaky so far this season. He's looked like a freshman at times, but I think Heupel's going to have a very good game plan. Kind of play a little bit more controlled offense. So I don't know. Betting wise, I don't know what I'm going to do as far as the spread for this game. I'm taking the over. It's 56.5. I like that. I know UT's defense has been very good, but I think this is the best offense we've seen all year by a large margin.
By landslide. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I do think Bama's defense is a little soft, definitely softer than it's been in years past. I mean, they just gave up 40 points to Vandy. So I do expect a little bit of a shootout in Neyland on Saturday. So that's what I like as far as betting goes. But as far as the game, I think it's going to be which quarterback makes a mistake first. And that's really going to be this, like, there'll be a swing. There'll be one bad turnover that kind of swings it one way or the other.
I can see that. I think a big matchup is going to be Tennessee defensive line and linebackers versus Jalen Milroe. Can they contain
Can't let him run around. Yeah.
I think Alabama would love for that to be a good piece of their offense. Is Milroe just getting loose and kind of cooking? I think they have to limit that. I think the other piece is going to be Tennessee offensive line, giving Nico any amount of time to throw the ball, which has been the problem so far. Is that he just hasn't had it. So, give me.
I think we'll see a lot of.
I don't even know what the line is. Give me the first quarter spread. Tennessee, we're back. I think they start off high, and I think they've scored 0 points in the last 2 first halves. I think they're bucking the trend here. It's got to change at some point. I think we're scoring early.
I think Samson has to get going. I think we're going to see
Let's
a
cook.
lot of running, a lot of little quick screens to kind of negate the offensive line having to
'em going.
block for the deep stuff. I know that's what we like to do. Nico likes to throw deep, but I just don't know that O-line can hold up against Bama, whose defensive line is
That's a good
still
question.
very good. The rest of their defense is very is where it's soft. That's where they gave up a lot of those points to Vandy and other teams. But the defensive line is still pretty stacked, per usual for Bama.
Okay. First quarter line. Bama's favored by 0.5.
Ooh,
Taking that.
put it on its card, baby.
Okay. Let's do one more game that I think is really interesting, and then we will get out of here. Let's do this because this is I don't know who had this on their bingo card as being a huge Big Ten matchup. You want to talk about some surprise of the year so far? Both of these teams potentially. Nebraska, Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
Indiana
6-0.
6-0.
6-0 against the spread.
And wow, really?
Yeah.
Nebraska, a team that has looked pretty good. Fake Patrick Mahomes at the quarterback position has been leading them to the promised land so far. They're not perfect, but they are a fun team. This has all of a sudden become like a very important matchup for Big Ten purposes here, and for playoff purposes. Tins, you have any thoughts on this one? Nebraska, Indiana?
This is gonna be a fun game. This is gonna be one of those games you catch yourself like you got the 4 screens up on the multi-box on YouTube TV, and then all of a sudden you're like, I don't care about anything else that's going on right now. What is going on in this Nebraska Indiana game? It's gonna be high scoring, I think. You're gonna see fake Patrick Mahomes run around doing fake Patrick Mahomes stuff. But I love this Indiana team. I'm loyal to a fault. Like I said, they're 6-0 on the spread. I've taken them all 6 times. I think this coach is the real deal. Coming from JMU, he has instantly turned this Indiana team into a real team. He's probably going to get a big boy head coaching job offer after this season, if I had to guess. So give me Indiana.
There you go.
The over. They'll both be on the
Indiana card. Minus 6.5.
Mm-hmm. Love that.
Fun one.
If I could take it twice, I would.
If you could take it twice.
Good thing I can.
There's a couple other fun games around the country, but that will probably be it for us tonight. Thank you for listening in. If you enjoyed some of our talk, our football talk, NFL, college, join our Discord. We are in there with some bets. Tins has been cooking up some bets. Mason, college and NFL. Mason with the NFL. I sometimes give out bets. Not the greatest gambler in the world, but here we are. So join us there. Join us on TikTok. Our TikTok's been we've been throwing a lot of stuff there. So go just give us a like, give us a comment. We enjoy doing this, and we appreciate you all being along with us. We hope you have a great weekend of football, and we will see you back here on Monday to break down all of the action.